Shalom, I'm Shlomo, and today we delve into the Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon, a period marked by conflict, political maneuvering, and the rise of Hezbollah. The Israeli security zone, established in 1985, was intended as a buffer against attacks from Lebanon, but instead fueled the rise of Hezbollah, transforming the conflict into a protracted and bloody struggle. In June 1982, Israel launched Operation Peace for Galilee, a full-scale invasion of Lebanon, which quickly escalated into a major military campaign with far-reaching political and humanitarian consequences. The Siege of Beirut in 1982 marked a turning point in the Lebanon War, leading to the evacuation of the PLO and a deepening of sectarian tensions within Lebanon. The Israeli invasion and occupation of southern Lebanon in 1982 led to the rise of Hezbollah, a Shia Islamist movement determined to resist the occupation by any means necessary. The South Lebanon Army, allied with Israel, played a pivotal role in the occupation, but was widely perceived as a collaborator, fueling resentment and becoming a target for Hezbollah. The Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon was marked by a relentless cycle of violence and counter-violence, with Hezbollah's attacks and Israel's retaliatory strikes deepening the conflict. Operation Accountability in 1993 marked a significant escalation in the conflict, highlighting the devastating humanitarian costs and increasing international pressure for a resolution. Throughout the 1990s, Hezbollah refined its tactics, focusing on guerrilla warfare and rocket attacks to inflict steady casualties on Israeli forces and erode public support for the occupation. While the conflict in southern Lebanon raged on, a powerful movement calling for an end to the occupation emerged within Israeli society itself. The Four Mothers movement, founded in 1997 by four women who had lost sons in the conflict, galvanized public opinion against the war and pressured the Israeli government to seek a peaceful resolution. The movement, named after the biblical matriarchs Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, transcended political and religious divides within Israeli society, uniting Israelis from all walks of life around the shared pain of losing loved ones in a seemingly endless conflict. The Four Mothers organized rallies, demonstrations, and public awareness campaigns, demanding the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Lebanon and a negotiated settlement to the conflict.
Their message, delivered with eloquence and moral clarity, resonated deeply with a public weary of war and yearning for a secure and peaceful future. The Four Mothers argued that the occupation of southern Lebanon was not only morally wrong, but also counterproductive, fueling the very violence and instability it sought to contain.
They challenged the Israeli government's narrative, questioning the human cost of maintaining a military presence in Lebanon and calling for a reassessment of Israel's strategic goals. The Four Mothers movement, through its unwavering commitment to peace and its ability to mobilize public opinion, played a pivotal role in shifting the discourse within Israel and creating the political space for a withdrawal from Lebanon. The Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon exacted a heavy toll on the region's social, economic, and political landscape. The constant threat of violence, coupled with the presence of Israeli troops and the SLA, disrupted daily life, hindering economic development and fueling resentment towards Israel. The civilian population bore the brunt of the conflict, enduring displacement, economic hardship, and the trauma of living in a war zone. Many fled their homes in search of safety, seeking refuge in other parts of Lebanon or across the border in Israel. The occupation also exacerbated existing sectarian tensions within Lebanon, pitting communities against each other and hindering national reconciliation efforts. Israel's policy of establishing a security zone created a buffer between its northern settlements and Hezbollah's strongholds, but did little to address the underlying causes of the conflict. The presence of Israeli troops and the SLA, while intended to deter attacks, often served as a provocation, fueling further resentment and bolstering support for Hezbollah. The occupation also had a profound impact on Lebanon's political development, undermining its sovereignty and hindering its ability to rebuild and recover from its own devastating civil war. The presence of foreign troops on Lebanese soil fueled a sense of national humiliation and resentment, complicating efforts to foster unity and stability. The legacy of the occupation continued to cast a long shadow over Lebanon, even after Israel's withdrawal, shaping its political dynamics and fueling ongoing tensions with its southern neighbor. The year 1999 ushered in a new era in Israeli politics with the election of Ehud Barak as prime minister. Barak, a decorated military leader and former chief of staff of the IDF, campaigned on a platform of peace and security, promising to extricate Israel from the quagmire of southern Lebanon while safeguarding its northern border. Barak's election brought a renewed sense of hope for an end to the conflict. He had witnessed firsthand the human cost of the occupation, both for Israelis and Lebanese, and recognized the need for a bold and decisive break from the past. Upon assuming office, Barak engaged in intense diplomatic efforts, seeking international support for a withdrawal plan and exploring the possibility of negotiations with Syria, Hezbollah's main backer. However, Barak also made it clear that Israel would not hesitate to act unilaterally to protect its security interests if diplomacy failed to yield tangible results. He still had a deadline of July 2000 for a complete withdrawal from Lebanon with or without an agreement with Syria or Hezbollah. This bold declaration sent shockwaves through the region, raising hopes for peace, while also stoking fears of renewed violence. The stage was set for a dramatic and uncertain period as Israel prepared to end its long and costly presence in southern Lebanon. The world watched with bated breath, wondering if Barak could deliver on his promise of peace, or if the region would be plunged back into another cycle of violence. While Ehud Barak's election initially raised hopes for a negotiated settlement, Hezbollah remained determined to secure a victory through resistance. The group intensified its attacks on Israeli forces and their allies in southern Lebanon, aiming to hasten the withdrawal and portray it as a retreat under fire. In a significant blow to the SLA, Hezbollah assassinated Colonel Ehud Barak, commander of the SLA's Western Brigade, in January 2000. Hashem, a key figure in the SLA's command structure, was targeted in a meticulously planned operation that demonstrated Hezbollah's intelligence capabilities and its ability to strike at the heart of Israel's proxy force. This assassination sent shockwaves through the SLA, demoralizing its ranks and further eroding its already waning support among the local population. Hezbollah's message was clear: collaboration with Israel would be met with swift and deadly retribution. The assassination of Colonel Hashem marked a turning point in the conflict, emboldening Hezbollah and accelerating the SLA's disintegration. Hezbollah's stepped-up attacks, coupled with the growing perception that Israel was preparing to withdraw, regardless of any agreement, created an atmosphere of uncertainty and fear in southern Lebanon. The region braced itself for the possibility of a chaotic and violent Israeli withdrawal, one that could leave a dangerous power vacuum in its wake. In Section 3, the countdown to withdrawal, a nation on edge. As the July 2000 deadline for withdrawal approached, anticipation and anxiety gripped both Israel and Lebanon. In Israel, public opinion was deeply divided. Many supported Barak's decision to withdraw, but border residents had security concerns. News reports showed soldiers dismantling outposts and bidding farewell to SLA counterparts. In southern Lebanon, the mood was complex. Many celebrated the withdrawal, but some feared Hezbollah's rise and potential retribution. As the clock ticked down, the region braced for the unknown, hoping for peace and stability. Exodus, the flight of the southern Lebanese. The Israeli withdrawal from southern Lebanon unfolded swiftly, leaving a void quickly filled by Hezbollah. As Israeli forces pulled back, Hezbollah fighters met with cheering crowds asserted control. The SLA, once formidable, crumbled rapidly. Thousands of southern Lebanese, fearing reprisals, fled northward with the retreating Israeli forces. The images of Lebanese civilians seeking refuge in Israel underscored the complex human consequences of the conflict. Israel set up temporary shelters and provided aid to the arriving refugees. The flight of southern Lebanese Christians had long-term implications for Lebanon's sectarian balance. Hezbollah's triumph, a reshaped landscape. The Israeli withdrawal from southern Lebanon marked a watershed moment. Hezbollah emerged politically and militarily strengthened. The group's image as a resistance movement resonated across the Arab world. Hezbollah's victory was not solely military. It garnered support from various factions and positioned itself as a defender of Lebanese sovereignty. Its social and political infrastructure allowed it to fill the void left by the Israelis. The withdrawal reshaped is the regional balance of power. Hezbollah emerged as a significant force in Lebanon. Israel grappled with the strategic implications of its withdrawal. The shifting sands of power, a resurgent Hezbollah. The Israeli withdrawal from southern Lebanon in 2000 had profound consequences, altering the balance of power and ushering in an era of uncertainty. For Hezbollah, it was a resounding victory, symbolizing its ability to challenge Israeli military might. The withdrawal bolstered Hezbollah's image as a defender of Lebanon and a champion of Arab resistance. This newfound prestige translated into increased political capital within Lebanon and across the Arab world. Hezbollah emerged as a dominant force in Lebanese politics, extending its influence far beyond the south. Enhanced by captured Israeli weapons and support from Iran and Syria, Hezbollah posed a significant challenge to Israel's northern border. The withdrawal also had profound implications for Israel, raising questions about its deterrence capabilities. The debate within Israel reflected deep divisions about the conflict and the prospects for peace. The withdrawal inadvertently paved the way for a more powerful and emboldened adversary. An uneasy peace, the legacy of occupation and withdrawal. The Israeli occupation and withdrawal from southern Lebanon continued to shape the region's political landscape. The withdrawal marked an end to the occupation but did not bring lasting peace. It led to an uneasy truce with sporadic violence and tension. Hezbollah, emboldened, expanded its military capabilities. Their presence and ties to Iran remain a concern for Israel. The withdrawal left deep scars on Lebanese society. The flight of southern Lebanese Christians exacerbated sectarian tensions. The occupation and withdrawal impacted Lebanon's political development. The legacy fuels political instability and hinders Lebanon's independence. It remains a cautionary tale of Middle Eastern politics and conflict. This legacy continues to shape the region's present and future.